This window. Zoom meeting window, meeting tools window, mute, currently unmuted, Alt+A, button.
Telephone number 904-264. Home.
Alert Guri has left the meeting. Alert Todd.
Good morning. You're going to have to tell me if you can't hear me, because I think I'm pretty loud anyway, so. So now you can hear me? I made Susan jump. Okay. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship. Today we will explore a historical UU figure, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a writer, thinker, philosopher, and like his father, was an ordained Unitarian minister. Emerson was a leading proponent of transcendentalism, which embraced idealism, focusing on nature and opposing materialism, advocating the idea of a personal knowledge of God, and believing that no intermediary was needed for spiritual enlightenment. Insight. Throughout history, various philosophers have including Ralph Waldo Emerson, have held up self-reliance of the individual as an ideal. And, UCF welcomes back guest speaker Addie Hurston, examining Emerson's 1841 essay on the topic and exploring what it can teach us today. Addie lives in Indianapolis, Indiana, and is a contemporary painter, art teacher, author of several books, and host of the Studio Alchemy podcast. Addie is a earned Bachelor of Fine Science from Appalachian University, and I know not everybody says it that way, and a Master of Library Science from Indiana University. They work as a freelance graphic designer and illustrator. A serious master gardener who incorporates botanical images into artwork, Addie is also a blues-style violinist. I'm Holly Rogers, your worship leader for today. With me are worship assistant Helene Kelly, accompanist Megan Smith, and tech team members Karen Baggett and Dan Phillips. Thanks to everyone who helps with the worship service, and a special welcome to those joining us on Zoom. Welcome visitors. Each week we are glad to welcome visitors, members, or friends who have not joined us for worship for a while. And if you're comfortable doing so, please take a moment now to say hello and introduce yourself so we can welcome you this morning. We'll bring the microphone to you so you can say hello to those on Zoom. Look at me. I'll sit back down.
Bottom, green.
Hey, see, bottom green. Maybe more than two. There you go.
Hello, is it working? Okay, do we have any visitors? Stand up, David. Judy and David Wooten back after being gone for a couple of years. We're only here for the weekend, and we wanted to see what the new church looks like.
Welcome back.
And see our old friends.
Beautiful place here. You got a beautiful church.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Witcher. My daughter and her family live in Beaufort. So I live in Indiana, so this will be exciting. And I'm here a lot. I've been coming here off and on for 20 years, and it's always a favorite of me when I'm visiting.
Welcome. Okay. And now, Joan has some announcements for us.
Good morning. Our newly built and installed mini outdoor food pantry just opened last week to the community. We plan to keep it stocked with non-perishables to help those in the area struggling with food instability when something quick is needed and nearby food pantries are closed. So please continue to bring in your donations to Sunday service and place them in the big basket in the social hall. In respect for our planet, please try to avoid plastic as much as possible. Please come and give blood on November 29th, Wednesday, between 10 and 3 for an exclusive pair of ELF and Red Cross socks while supplies last. You gotta have the socks. They are elusive, so hurry to sign up online at redcrossblood.org and enter UCF Fellowship, UCF, to schedule an appointment. Or you can see Barb or Harriet Altman after the service. Mark your calendars for the UCF Social Justice Film Series at 6:30, the second Thursday of each month. Mission Joy, a moving and laugh-out-loud documentary about the friendship of the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, will be shown on 12/14. Check out the link to all our movies through June at beaufortpictureshow.org/UCF Social Justice Films series. They'll give you a trailer so you can see ahead of time what the movie's about. Thanks to everyone's hard work and input, we at UCF have made important progress in our racial justice journey in 2023. All are welcome at the next Racial Justice Team meeting on Zoom on December 6th from 12:30 to 1:30 to briefly review 2023 and share ideas for 2024. We've come up with some exciting possibilities and would love to have your ideas and your input. The Zoom link can be found in the wave and the coastline. We now invite everybody in the sanctuary to please silence your cell phones, and all those on Zoom to please turn off your cameras to conserve bandwidth. And now we invite everyone to please greet their neighbors. Hey.
Whoa. Please join me in a responsive reading from our gray hymnal, number 441. It's been a while since we've done one of these, so if you don't know where the gray hymnal is, someone can point them out. They should be right ahead of you. So I am going to be saying the words in bold or regular, and the congregation, that's you, will read the responses in italic. Everybody ready? What's that? 441. Okay, here we go. To worship is to stand in awe under a heaven of stars, before a flower, a leaf in sunlight, or a grain of sand. To worship is to work with dedication and with skill. It is to pause from work and listen to the strain of music. Worship is a loneliness seeking communion. It is a thirsty land crying out for rain. Worship is the mystery within us, reaching out to the mystery beyond. Come, let us worship together. The chalice lighting is from a Passover Haggadah. And Passover is the Jewish festival of freedom, and a Haggadah is a guide. May the light we candle, all right, let's start this again. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. We also light a peace candle to remind ourselves that peace is a process that requires work, that peace is not merely an absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. And now please stand and sing as you are willing and able. We sing of Golden Mornings, number 44 in the Gray Hymnal. And there it is on the... In our sacred space of joys and concerns, the trials and tribulations of life are more manageable when shared, and our joys will multiply when shared as well. I invite you to our stones and water ritual. We line up over by the wall and select stones or shells from the basket to represent our joys and concerns and gently place them into the chalice of water. Should you wish to share a personal joy or concern about a person in your life, there's a paper to fill out and place in the basket on the way to the chalice. After our ritual, I will read these joys and concerns to the congregation. This stone is for our wonderful member, Colleen Clark, who is living in Ecuador. She is asking for our prayers and healing thoughts. She has been diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. She feels she is getting excellent care and and had surgery on Thursday. The surgeon is optimistic about her prognosis. The best way to get in touch with Colleen is by email, and her email address is in Breeze. This stone is for this upcoming Wednesday is Kai's birthday, the 23rd. This stone is for the 24 Israeli hostages released yesterday as a temporary ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war went into effect. Also, more than 36 Palestinian hostages were released. We hope for freedom for all hostages and for a way to peace to come to Gaza. For joys shared, we join you in celebration. For sorrows and concerns spoken here, may you feel our sympathy and compassion. For all that remains unspoken, both joy and sorrow, may the caring of our community offer you both kindness and hope.
Our prayer today is by Summer Albayati. In betwixt and in between, we move in the liminal spaces that show shades of what can come and what can be. To move into that time of this and that, and not this and not that, with patience and faith and love and hope that this will pass like the sun that moves in between rising and setting, reminding us that beauty resounds in betwixt and in between. Please join us now in singing the children out with the blessing song.
I share these meditation words by the Dalai Lama, followed by silence and music. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Live as if you were to die tomorrow.
morning, folks at UCF. Thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts on Emerson and self-reliance with you today. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I hope all is well with you in the congregation. I'm going to start with a reading from Emerson's 1841 essay on self-reliance. He wrote, "No law can be sacred to me but that of my nature. Good and bad are but names, very readily transferable to this or that. The only right is what is after my constitution. The only wrong, what is against it. A true man belongs to no other time or place, but is the center of things. There he is, there is nature. Inquiry leads us to that source, at once the essence of life, which we all call spontaneity or instinct. We denote this primary wisdom as intuition, whilst all later teachings are tuitions. In that deep force, the last fact behind which analysis cannot go, all things find their common origin. We first share the life by which things exist, and afterward see them as appearances in nature, and forget that we have shared their cause. Here is the fountain of action and thought. When we discern justice, we discern truth. All things are dissolved to their center by their cause, and in the universal miracle, petty and particular miracles disappear. All men have my blood, and I have all men's. We are afraid of truth, afraid of fortune, afraid of death, and afraid of each other. Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you, the society of your contemporaries, the connection of events. These are the voices which we hear in solitude, but they grow faint and inaudible as we enter into the world. Society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. The virtue in most request is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Ralph Waldo Emerson was a transcendentalist philosopher and a Unitarian minister who lived from 1803 to 1882 in Massachusetts. Most UU churches have a room somewhere in their church dedicated to Emerson. His prolific philosophical writings are considered to be part of the foundation of the UU movement. As a transcendentalist, he believed that the closer humans could get to nature, the closer they would be to the divine. He believed that society and its institutions, particularly organized religions and political parties, corrupted the purity of the individual's spirit, separating it from its true nature. He believed that people are at their best when truly self-reliant and independent. An ideal community could only be formed by individuals who are being authentic to their nature. Today, we are focusing on just one essay that Emerson composed in 1841 on self-reliance and what it can teach us today. Sifting through that work, there were parts to it that I agreed with wholeheartedly, parts I disagreed with. Some sections I would just rephrase for modernity, particularly the whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. rephrase that today, and some sections that I am still not sure about that we can examine together. Emerson promoted self-reliance as an ideal. When he speaks of self-reliance, he's referring to philosophical independence. He asks us, where do you go when you are hunting for supreme truth? Do you go to the authorities of the church doctrine? Do you look to the writings of the sages of yore? Do you look to the generally accepted rules of society? Trust thyself, he urges us. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. And he pushes the idea that guidance should only come from within. These are the voices that we hear in solitude. No law can be sacred to me but that of my nature. Guidance should only come from a visceral gut reaction to events. Finding your own truth is preferable to rigid conformity. I'll share a personal story to illustrate this point. When I was in middle school, a time that is well known for its emphasis on the drive to conform and fit in, I fell in love with a boy named Jackson Griffin. We had a number of classes together over the years, but I didn't really notice him until we were seated across from each other in an English class, our desks facing each other. We could easily look directly into each other's eyes, and I started thinking of funny things to say to get his attention. And sometimes his cheeks would get really pink when he was talking to me. It's a happy memory. Well, one weekend I went to spend the night at a friend's house, and I had a little fantasy that the house next door to her house was Jackson's house. And I imagined that I went over to his house and that he and I were alone in the house together. And this is as far as my little fantasy went. Just imagining being alone with him was exciting enough for my young imagination. Right? Well, then one day I came into class and I sat down in my chair and I looked across at Jackson, and he was sitting bolt upright in his chair, looking very uncomfortable and nervous. Then he blurted out, "Addie, I was wondering if you would go out with me." And I froze. Actually, going out with him in reality was not something I had considered. I didn't know anyone else in my grade who was dating. This unexpected turn of events was shocking to me in that moment. Then I turned to my left, and the two other students who sat in our group of 4 desks had noticed what Jackson had said to me, and they were eagerly looking from him to me, from him to me. And they were waiting for my response. And I thought, oh no, if I say yes, the whole school will be talking about this in 5 minutes. So I quickly turned to Jackson and said, "No, I'm sorry." And then he just deflated. He slumped down in his chair and he would not look at me. And the teacher started the class, and I sat there desperately regretting my decision, yet not knowing how to repair the damage that I had done. When class was over, Jackson hurried out of the room as fast as he could. For a couple of days, I tried to think of things to do or say that could repair the friendship, but it wasn't clear I wasn't clear about how to do it, and my fear of what other people would say was still just too strong to let me push past it with courage. We all have regrets in life. And what I regretted about my reaction to Jackson was that I allowed my fear of what other people would say and my urge to conform to dictate my actions, not my own gut feelings and desires. And I'm sad to tell you that a couple of years later, Jackson drowned in a river after Hurricane Fran. It was in 1996. And I had regretted losing his friendship before, but then after he died, as you can imagine, I really regretted it. The lesson I learned was that I should never allow conventional society to sway my decisions. And since then, I've often had sometimes desperate need to voice my feelings and never repress them because of this hard life lesson. Emerson wrote, "It is easy to live after the world's opinion. And indeed, I feel that in that moment years ago, I chose the easy route. I chose silence, because silence is easy. It takes far more courage to voice your true, honest opinions and feelings." And Emerson encourages us to have strength and courage to be, quote, true to your own nature. He wrote, "We are afraid of truth." I'll repeat that. We are afraid of truth. What truth are you afraid of? What truths do you know yet are not voicing? Nothing can bring you peace but yourself, Emerson says. He is inviting us to notice our own core feelings, then be directed by the truth of them, not outside forces. In Emerson's view, society demands conformity at the expense of individual liberty. It demands that you fit in or be an outcast. Emerson upheld the integrity of the individual mind as sacred. For the time that it was written, this essay on self-reliance, was courageous and perhaps considered blasphemous by other churches in his community. It was courageous because it blatantly stated Emerson's belief that the institutions of the church did not have an exclusive channel to the divine, but rather every person could be connected to the divine voice if they opened to their true nature and listened. He challenges us to speak the truth. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Our honesty should present itself not with anger, but as Martha Beck stated, the truth should just slip into the space where you know a polite lie should go. Martha Beck is a contemporary self-help writer who I love, and I think that Emerson would love her statement. Because he valued a quiet sort of dissent, not taking up arms, not starting a war, but just letting the truth slip out without shaming or malice. So let us speak the truth. Emerson pointed out that when you stop to consider it, many of the evils perpetrated on humanity have been accomplished under the facade of society's laws. Emerson focused on this for quite a while in the essay, considering how slavery and disenfranchisement was upheld by laws. Emerson was asking us to question the validity of authority. Actions should be justified by ethics rather than rules. It is possible to find obscure laws or rules or societal traditions to justify virtually anything, and those who do not give priority to the integrity of their own mind will cite laws to justify what they do. So let us look to our own conscience when making decisions. And here I'm coming to a point which I disagree with Emerson on. He asks us to renounce all writing of past sages. He says, "Great works have no more affecting lesson for us than this. They teach us to abide by our spontaneous impression with good-humored inflexibility when the whole cry of voices is on the other side. A man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within, more than the luster of the firmament of bards and sages. So I have to wonder if he would have us take his writing and throw it out the window as useless, because at this point he's just another old dead guy, right? And he's saying, don't look to the writing of other people, look within, and perhaps he might not mind if we were to throw out his writings. But I, for one, still value his ideas and that of other wise individuals who've passed before me. I look to others for wisdom, just as I look within myself. Yes, I agree that upholding a doctrine simply because it's the way things have always been done is not enough of a reason to hold weight for me. Yet maybe we can find a balance between looking to the wisdom of others to guide us and valuing our own intuition. He's also arguing that the divine is in every person, so I would contend that if that is true, then the divine could be found in the writings of anyone, past or present. And it's therefore okay to create checks and balances in your search for truth by consulting both your own wisdom and that of others. I want to add here that I recently met with a friend of Jackson's, an artist named Luke Buchanan, who was there when he died. And I told him about my memories of Jackson and my deep regret about it. And Luke was so nice. He was so supportive. And Emerson, in his essay, calls regret false prayers. And Luke seemed to echo Emerson's thoughts by encouraging me to not waste time on regrets. And this was, of course, comforting for me to hear. And after chatting with him, I have a new, peaceful sense of forgiving myself. And I'm grateful to have been able to talk to Luke about it, to glean a bit of his own wisdom and stories. And I recognize that an important part of this grieving process for me was all these years later to connect with another person about it. And so I think that Emerson was both right and wrong. We should be self-reliant. Think for ourselves. We should find comfort in the wisdom of other people as well. I think that both is possible if we're willing to be honest and open enough. Now I'll talk to you for just a minute about one of my favorite topics, utopias. For Emerson and other transcendentalists such as Bronson Alcott and Thoreau, philosophical self-reliance was commingled with philosophical self-sufficiency. They formed utopian farms called fruitlands, where they attempted to detach themselves from the outside world with a pioneer mentality. One of the personal experiences of my life that comes to mind when I hear the term self-reliance is the time I apprenticed at a cooperative farm in Ohio. The members of that organization held up an ideal that they should be both independent philosophically from the outside world and self-sufficient materially. That meant that they formulated their own religious doctrines and rituals, as well as striving to produce all their own food. At first, I loved this thought, to produce our own food. We had 200 acres and only a small group to feed. This should be possible. But I slowly started to notice that this wasn't always practical. For example, no one on our farm was good at producing cheese, so we brought cheese in from another farm. We didn't have a wheat field, so we would buy wheat and assuage our guilt at having bought the wheat by then hand grinding it. Somehow it became my task to hand grind the wheat, which could take as long as an hour to grind enough for a week's worth of bread. And as I was grinding, I started thinking to myself, well, this just isn't efficient. I concluded that we need each other. We depend on each other for both guidance and support in our communities. why not utilize that support? I think that we are social creatures. We depend on each other. And perhaps that is a truth about who we are. Having said all this, I want to end by sharing with you that I love Emerson. I feel a real rapport with him because his ideas match so many of my own beliefs. He saw the divine not as a deity that's separate from us, but rather the forces of nature, the sacred energy that propels life forward. And much of his writing has helped me to shape my own belief system. And for those of you who are new to UUism, I want to reiterate that you don't need to agree with my beliefs just because I'm behind the podium today. Unitarian Universalists value a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, which means that wherever you are on your spiritual path, as long as you are being what Emerson called true to your nature, your beliefs will be respected here. We owe much of the backbone of our Unitarian Universalist philosophy to the work of Emerson, and I'm pleased to have had the opportunity to share some of his ideas with you today. May these thoughts bring you comfort. May you find your own voice. Thank you.
Hymn 389? Okay. Good. So we're going to be singing hymn 389 in our gray hymnal.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. One more time. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Thank you.
Our thanks to Addie for joining us today by video. Please remain seated. Oh, no. We already sang 389. Okay. Each month, the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship shares our offering plate 50-50 with a different charity or nonprofit. For the month of November, the Social Justice Committee has selected the UU Disaster Relief Fund. The UU Disaster Relief Fund provides grant money to UU churches in areas where a natural disaster has occurred. We, UCF, received a $50,000 grant from this fund after Hurricane Florence to help those in our community. Their funds are running low this year because there have been so many disasters. Please give as you can to help them be ready for future disasters. And I invite the greeters forward. Please join us in blessing this offering with hymn 402, From You I Receive, and we'll sing it twice. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Please join me in reading the words on the screen behind me as we extinguish our flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now en español. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez. Our closing music, please rise if you are willing and able to sing. Number 354 in our gray hymnal, We Laugh, We Cry.
Something
Okay, it's time for us to please join hands or share elbows if you are willing and able for our benediction. Today's benediction is from this book, which is a really good book. Yes, yes. It was the November UCF Book Club book. What's the title? The title is Lessons in Chemistry. Okay. And the protagonist in this book is a woman who is a chemist. So at the end of the book, she says, whenever you start doubting yourself, whenever you feel afraid, just remember, courage is the root of change, and change is what we're chemically designed to do. So when you wake up tomorrow, make this pledge. No more holding yourself back. No more subscribing to others' opinions of what you can and cannot achieve. Thank you. And no more allowing anyone to pigeonhole you into useless categories such as sex, race, economic status, or religion. Do not allow your talents to lie dormant. Design your own future. When you go home today, ask yourself what you will change and then get started.